Well, the obvious or what?
Yeah, the obvious. Yeah.
Marky's a dick.
Okay. It's not as
And there's the
melodious.
title of the podcast.
It's not as melodious as it was during the audio test. I'm just saying, you're holding back now that we're recording.
I was being nice.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
only because it's a holiday.
Okay, all right, yeah. Giving thanks that you don't have to tell people the truth about how much of a dickhead I am. So
Marky's a dick.
Somebody, like I told you, somebody's got to be the dick around here.
That's
Everybody
right.
wants to be everybody's friend. And I'm a nice guy, but someone has to say no. All right, so you ready to get started?
Yes, I am.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Danny and Marky, and this is episode 280 of the John 1911 podcast. Today is November. What is today's date?
The 26th.
The 26th, Saturday. It is Saturday, right?
10:30 in the morning.
10:30 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. We are a little late. This is the first post Thanksgiving podcast. And we're a little late. I'll have Danny know that I had to come in late because we were supposed to go live at 10, and then I had some last minute police blotter stuff come in, and I had to re-roll the entire police blotter because the police blotter today is off the chain. It's like once the holiday season starts, the police blotter's crazy. So, and we're using some new software and some new. In my case, an old microphone, and we'll see how the audio works and everything's going. But Danny and I we spent the last 15-20 minutes testing some stuff, trying to get things running. And the nice thing is it'll hopefully improve all of our audio all around, and also it'll make it easier for me to do a podcast remotely. And it's even possible that I might even be able to start recording podcasts at the John 1911 range, or if I'm traveling, I can just bring my laptop. I don't have to lug around a computer, which, is a huge pain in the ass for me. So not that anyone cares about all that. So Danny, how you been?
Just had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoyed my family immensely, and just skirting around Northern Illinois and enjoying life. How about you?
Yeah, it was good, kind of crazy. I spent a majority of it kind of working. We launched the John 1911 store. I did some work at the range. Filled some orders. Orders came in. The coffee mugs. More than half of them are gone. I'm not going to say like they sold in 5 minutes, but within 14 hours we'd sold half of them. And
they make a wonderful stocking stuffer.
And the truth is, the fact that I opened up the John 1911 store for sales, literally, was it Thanksgiving night, or was it the day before? I can't remember. Maybe it's Thanksgiving night. Is insane. I wanted this store open 2 weeks ago, but we were having continual technological problems. We had problems with calculating the tax software. Not that anybody cares, but it's like, so here we are. We're about to open up the store during like Black Friday week and the holiday shopping week. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, this is not what I wanted to do at all. This is crazy. But, here we are. It's running. Orders are being filled. Money's being collected. No one's been charged $1 million by the software. Like, what do you mean my coffee cup cost $1 million? Nothing crazy so far has happened. So I guess we're good to go. So
good. Well, everything is a growing pain, but fortunately you have the set of dentures in there already to cut your new teeth with us.
Yeah, funny. Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of the software, and we have a lot of the institutional memory in the background to get it all done. I'll tell you something I did fun yesterday. I was at the range, at our range, and I was doing some Blaser tactical 2-barrel testing, which is, it's work. It's not all the precision rifle stuff. It's kind of, it's work. It's like it's got to be super accurate. You got to figure out stuff, shooting groups, doing this, doing that. But I brought the what do you call it? I brought a Shiloh Sharps rifle that I had purchased I'd ordered at SHOT Show in 2012. and didn't come in till I think almost 2014, and we'd never shot it.
Really?
We had never shot the thing, and it's I just decided to, like I wanted to shoot the gun. Like it's iron sighted gun. It weighs, I don't know what it weighs, probably 10 pounds, 12 pounds, and 45-70, and it's got set triggers on it. And I was like, I'm just going to have some fun and shoot some guns. So the targets were not really easy to see. Like the light was going down, it's failing. There's a lot of overcast, and the targets were gray, and I had a hard time even seeing them. And so I'm not going to say that I, kept the family honor by making impacts, but I was having some issues at 115 yards trying to hit a humanoid-sized target. Not really sure how the sights quite work on this gun, but I was knocking the shit out of a little 10 inch piece of steel at about 60 yards. At 45-70 hits that thing like a freight train, and it's just cool, just fun to shoot a gun and not have it be work.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, good for you.
Yeah. So, well, do you want to talk about the bridge jumper, or do you want to get into the Colorado gay bar thing?
Well, one was upsetting because I was right there. Here in the Chicagoland area, we have rivers, and there are, bridges that go up and down to allow for boats. Like as they do in Florida or whatever. Well,
hold on. Let me set it up for everybody. If you've ever seen the Blues Brothers movie, and they have to jump the bridge,
yes, that one.
that one.
Yes. But now remember, a lot of these bridges go over sanitary canals. In other words, everything that comes out of the waste processing flows through these canals, but they're deep enough to allow boat and barge traffic. Well,
really?
yes,
That's
they're that big.
disgusting.
Yes. Well, anyway, I was at a bridge the other day. We won't get into that detail, but I was at the bridge, and I noticed this young girl around 20 years old, and she's standing at the railing looking over the bridge. But then she started doing like small squats, like, wait a minute, what are you doing? What she was
Squats.
well, yeah, literally, but with her hands on the railing. And I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. Then I look at her, and she's getting into deep bend squats. And I'm thinking to myself, this chick's gonna go. She's gonna jump into the river. I yelled at her along with other people did, and we're telling her, get away from the railing, get away from the railing. Don't do it. Just get back, get back, get back. She took a rose, threw the rose into the river, made the sign of the cross, looked right at me, did a deep squat, boom, vaulted that railing right into the river, right in front of us. And it was the river is absolutely filthy, dirty, loaded with shit and every other damn thing. But the thing which was really surreal is she didn't scream when she went in the water. Myself and a couple others are dialing 911, and we look at her, and in a very peep angelic voice she's just saying, help me, help me. No fear, no panic, no nothing. So fortunately, the other people were construction people. They were doing work on the bridge. They threw her the rope and were yelling at her to grab it, grab the rope, grab the rope. Well, she very gently just puts one hand on it. Well, this was about a 12 to 14-foot leap that she did. And this girl was rather big. I would say close to 180, 200 pounds.
Oh,
Well,
you
you're
didn't
not,
tell me that part.
you're not going to pull her back up 14 feet and then over the railing. So she grabbed the rope, and they pulled her down to where the incline is only a 2-foot pull. And fortunately, there was some contractor scaffolding that was right there, so they only had to get her up a foot. She didn't fight it, but she didn't really take it wholeheartedly. It was just a surreal issue. And by the time the guys got her up out of the water, of course the police and the ambulance were there, and they hauled her off to get, well, a battery of shots, I'm sure, from diphtheria to typhoid to tetanus and every other thing that could possibly be in that water. And I'm sure that they gave her an evaluation. Well, then me with my smart ass self, all the cops are there or anything. So I look at the cop. I said, looks like she'll be enjoying her turkey and gravy in a paper gown. Well, he wasn't appreciative of that.
Oh my god, yeah. That was the funny part. So I may have just screwed up the audio. I hit something and it may have double fed back you into the microphone. So I apologize for that. So
Oh, that's fine. Marky, watch your microphone.
I'm the guy that actually my microphone stuff now is real complicated, and we're using this new software, and I may have just screwed all that up. So I apologize. So, well, I did uh, so you told the cop, just say it again. You told the cop what now? You said
I told the cop, I said, after they hauled her off and they're doing their reports and everything, I told the cop, I said, well, looks like she'll be enjoying her turkey and gravy in a paper gown.
yeah.
He wasn't appreciative of that, but
He told me he hit you in the head.
well, yeah. Well, jokingly gave me like a cuff. Fortunately, I knew a lot of them.
I
So
love tap amongst friends, right? I mean,
right.
Look, I hate to sound like, look, let's just be real. You and I are both old and jaded, and we've seen all kinds of crazy stuff.
That's the thing.
And this 20-year-old girl going up there doing the warm ups, and then as soon as she gets somebody's attention, she throws the rose over the edge of the bridge and genuflects. Probably looks up at the sky and swan dives. I'm sure it didn't look that majestic into the shit water, and it's just like just a bunch of drama and just some girl that wants attention. And I mean, I know you're not supposed to be able to say this, like suicide and mental health and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, you'll be eating Thanksgiving wearing a paper gown. I mean, because it's just like, you're just fucking crazy.
Well,
I mean,
it's the truth, though.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm going to say, it's on the weekend of Thanksgiving, too. There's two types of people that commit suicide in this world. And one group is really looking for the fame and the influence and the whatever, and then there's the other group of people that just go out and do it. And
right.
And it's just like, I hope no one listening to this, is contemplating suicide, but when you've been exposed to a fair amount of this type of behavior, you recognize one from the other. And in some kind of gallows humor kind of way, I respect the people that just go out and do what they need to do because they want to do it. But the other people who go out and make all this drama, I resent the hell out of it. I'm just like, let's close the bridge, call the PD, and make it a big giant scene, and the rose and the genuflect, and I realized somebody listening to this, if it's their family member, whatever, they're not going to be quite as understanding of my comments. But objectively speaking, working the streets for years and just seeing all kinds of people, it's just like, I know this game. I know what this is. I know what this is about. And it's just like, I'm not going to feel sorry for this girl. I'm just like, to me, she's an inconvenience. And it's just like, whatever. You're making your problem all of our problem.
Right. And I didn't look at it that way. We were more worried on pulling her out to safety, despite of what her mindset was. But the water's roughly 38 degrees that she jumped into. So I don't know if she had reservations when she hit that water, but the most eeriest part is she wasn't screaming for help. It's like, are you waiting to get sucked under or what?
Well, I mean, okay, like, again, let's okay, I mean, what she jumped off of, you said it was 14 feet?
Down.
Yeah,
Yes.
14 feet down. So, I mean, Olympic divers jump two or three times that. Like, this is 14 feet is not a suicide hit into the water. I
No,
mean,
and she went feet first.
yeah, I mean, it's like, it's not like she jumped off the San Francisco Bay Bridge and hit the water doing 130 miles an hour. It's like hitting concrete into, and it's like, I mean, again, I know I'm coming off as old and jaded, and I am, but I'm not. I'm grateful that my life isn't like that. And I'm grateful for everybody in my life. And if you're listening to this, everybody in your life that doesn't make everything a drama about them, because that's all that I see here. It's like, God, and the rose and the genuflection to me is just the worst. Just totally just turns me off. Look, I'd have saved her. I guess I would have swan dived into the shit water, but it's like,
Well, if she was wanting the attention, she surely got it.
yeah, she got it, and that's what she wanted, and she got what she wanted, and I feel like she should probably get the bill too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, these people that go out in the mountains when they shouldn't be and they're not qualified, and you got to send in the rescue team and a rescue helicopter. Depending on the situation, they get a bill.
Yeah.
Rescue ain't free. It's not. It costs a lot of money to it costs a lot of money to have water rescue. It costs a lot of money to run a fire department. It costs a lot of money to run a police department. It costs a lot of money to run a bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. And, even what her intentions were, what her intentions were, or what the outcome was, or whatever, it's still unnerving to witness that,
It is.
because if she had deep intentions, and didn't grab that rope, it would have been a lot worse. And to see it, right in front of your face unfolding it's still a little unnerving.
Oh yeah, because you were in it balls deep. I'm
Oh
sitting
yeah.
here in the safety and security of my life. So I can sit here and be objectively a dickhead about it, which I realize I am. But it's.
Well,
if she had
because
jumped in, it would have been my problem, and I had a totally different outlook on it. But
right.
being able to, and this is a good example too in life. If the understanding the difference between being in whatever you're dealing with right now, because I think young people don't realize this. You're dealing with whatever drama or situation or emergency or problem right now that's in front of you, and that's great. You got to do what you got to do. However, if you're able to remove yourself from that objectively and look at it from the benefit of distance and time and see the bigger picture, you can make a more informed analysis of what was really going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, as you alluded to earlier, I seen people that finished the job in my duties,
Oh yeah.
and and it wasn't pretty sights.
Oh
It
yeah.
really, it wasn't pretty, but it's just like, oh, come. Actually, it was like, oh shit, why me? You know what I mean? I don't need my name on any more police reports, witness or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's like, because the first thing they did.
Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of people that do stuff just to get attention, it's almost, we're to the point now. Joy Reid from CNN.
MSNBC.
Oh, Sam, I'm sorry. Like that's different.
The Reid,
Like,
MSDNC is what it should be.
Joy Reid, crazy ass Joy Reid comes out, and it's Thanksgiving. So she's got to come out and give her annual America's racist and bigoted, and Thanksgiving is somehow, I don't know what she said about the patriarchy, but basically is, a myth or something to perpetuate whatever her white power, racist, whatever colonial, whatever bullshit thing she says. And you have to realize, number one, it's like, oh, okay. Like Joy Reid is just like, to me, is literally just like the jumper. Joy Reid knows it's the holidays, and she's going to get up there on her show, and she's going to throw the rose into the river, and she's going to make the sign of the cross up to the heavens, and she's going to swan dive down into the bullshit for attention. Well, I'll show everybody because I'm going to go give my annual Joy Reid. I'm actually a racist person. Joy Reid, I think we're going to look when the idea of looking back objectively with the benefit of distance and time. Joy Reid is going to go down in history as one of the most bigoted and overtly racist members of the media we've had in the modern age. She is a stone cold bigot, racist, crazy person.
Yes, she is. She has the lowest rated show on all of the cable news networks.
Was that before or after Don Lemon got booted to the mornings?
I think they're running a relay race and they're passing the baton off to each other.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
You could literally take Joy Reid and just use the Technicolor computer, change her skin to white, and just literally change everything she says. Just change it from white supremacy to black, N-word, whatever, and she would sound like a Ku Klux Klan person from the 50s. All these convoluted, crazy bullshit things that come out of her mouth. Literally, if you ever play that game, that's a good way to listen to what some person is saying and just insert a different thing into it, the actual subject, and see if it transforms into something the exact opposite. And you're like, oh, she's just a racist bigot, attention seeker on TV. And she just gets away with it and every Thanksgiving. And it's like why, I don't get emotional about the girl that swan dives into the bridge. And I don't get emotional about Joy Reid that swan dives into the holiday season. It's like, come on, whatever, just get over yourself. We get it,
Well, and it's just like the shooting out in Colorado Springs at the let me get this, LG, whatever the acronym is,
okay,
all you can eat, whatever it is,
What? LGBT, all you can eat?
All you can eat.
That strangely might be more appropriate and on point than you would initially think.
Only you would find an analogy to that. But anyway, the point being is that the mainstream media rushed to judgment on how the shooter was a Republican, a white male, he had Donald Trump tattoos on his ass and all the other stuff. Well, now that it came out that he's non-binary, it's like they were hitting the brakes and really trying to do step back. So what is their next form of attack? The mainstream media's after they found out that the guy was one of them. Gun control, got to have an assault weapons ban.
Well, I tell you what, did you see the segment there, a panel, because they got to have a panel of people, on CNN, because they can't just, at least Joy Reid can carry a show, right? She can carry it by herself. You got to respect it, right? I don't know if it was Allison Camerata, but I saw the segment and there's 6 people there. Maybe it's 5.
Seen that where they were backtracking.
Well, they're up there talking, and there's again. And this is a problem with the mainstream media. It's a problem with Fox News. It's a problem with all the news. If they don't have anything new to tell you, they have to fill the air. And that's the ultimate fundamental weakness of the 24-hour news cycle is they have to, there's always somebody off screen, like a producer, moving his hands out going, stretch. We got to fill the airtime. Let's just all bullshit about it. And they're sitting there speaking in tropes and, whatever preconceived notions. And all of a sudden, someone hands someone a note like, it's just come in that the lawyer says the shooter is non-binary. Now, it's 2022, November 2022. And all we have heard for the past year, at least, is the pronouns he, she, him, her, they, them. I don't even know all of it, but like all those pronouns is a lot of that's attributed to what comes after to LGBT, all you can eat, like all the rest
All
of
you
it.
can eat. Yeah, you
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I can't even LBGT. I mean, like, look, I'm fine with L, B, and G, and like okay with T. Normally, I like 3-letter mnemonics. Okay, we'll give you a fourth one. But all this stuff, it's too much. Like we're not, because I can't even remember all of it. It's just insanity. And and literally, as this comes in, like this is the way they said it. He is non-binary, and so that means, and I guess it's they, them. Like
Yeah,
I don't care. And if I'm getting it wrong, I'm not trying to offend anybody. But right there in front of us, we watch them as in the group of the news people continue to say, so he is they, them. And then they keep calling him he. Well, he's, this, and he's been whatever. And he's like, wait a minute. Whoa. Right in front of us, you're disrespecting, and you're doing, and it's a game. And like, it may ultimately come out, and we have to be honest here. It may ultimately come out that this douchebag may be sitting there in jail, and he's like, I need a defense. I'm gay. And he may not be a they, them. It might just be some made up bullshit thing that he's saying, to just, get over on everybody. I mean, we don't know. Like, we have to be honest. We don't know. People on my side of the aisle are like, see, he's non-binary. And it's like, well, we'll see if he's non-binary or whatever that bullshit is. But, to watch them on CNN who pray at this altar like it's sacrosanct and in real time continue to call him instead of they. And it's like, oh, okay, because he's a crazy person and you can't call him they, or you thought he was a Republican and you can't call him they. But you know what? Okay, I'm like, look, he's a fuckhead. Going to play. I don't care who you are. I have this thing as an American. Don't go to places fucking with each other. The gay bar, like the gay bar, like whatever. It's gay bar, trans drag queen night, whatever they want to call it. I don't know if drag queen's even still possible. That's what or politically correct, but it didn't used to be a problem. But it's like midnight on a Friday or Saturday night. They're not having tranny fucking story time at the elementary school. Like, they're in their gay bar doing their gay things at 12 o'clock at night. That in no universe that I can see, no matter how morally outraged you are, you have a right to go in there and go fuck with those people. They're living their lives in their place, and it's like the whole, like, I don't have a problem with, this is an example I give from the past to prove the point. Like, I don't really have a problem with gay marriage as a construct, but I also don't think that if the Catholic Church decides they don't want to support gay marriage, that's fine. And I remember there was a situation when the gay marriage thing or whatever it was on the ballot in California, and a bishop showed up, or archbishop showed up at some, he was going to show up at some diocese, like, oh, this weekend Archbishop so-and-so is coming in to give mass. And so it was a special event. And a bunch of the people, the pro-gay marriage people, showed up in the middle of this guy's mass, disrupted the mass, acting like crazy people in the middle of Sunday service. And it's like, my argument against fucking with gay people at the gay bar at midnight equally applies to showing up at the Catholic Church at 11 o'clock on a Sunday fucking with them. I want to beat the fuck out of all of you sons of bitches. It's like, stop fucking with each other. Fucking with other people is un-American.
Yep. Go to a restaurant and have an LGBLT or something.
Now, because again, I'm not politically, like if you made me sheriff, buddy, like I could never be elected sheriff, but if you made me sheriff, there'd be no goddamn riots in my town. You know what I mean? Like, I would probably make Joe Arpaio look like a poser, But, you're not going to have any bullshit riots in my fucking town. But with it, all that being said, have you seen the mugshot of the guy that shot up the gay bar, Mr. Non-Binary? Have you seen him?
Yes, I did.
Holy dude, holy fuck.
He's a poster boy for what I don't know, but yes, I seen it.
No, did you see how badly beaten he was?
He tripped.
Oh no, dude, they beat that boy with it. Like, he literally, like, you see him at the arraignment, he's in a wheelchair and he's all slumped over to the side. And if you see the actual mugshot, you see the mugshot where, he's brought in and it's immediately after he's been beat. And like he even like the look in his eye, like his whole face is black and blue.
And he's a big dude.
He's a big dude. And it's like, and there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I mean, look, we're not supposed to be beating the fuck out of each other, but it's like, yeah, that's what you call an educational beatdown. I'm like, I was kind of glad,
but when he was capping all those people, the mistake he made was not having his six covered. That's where they jumped up on him. Now, had he been against the wall, he'd still be shooting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give him any advice. I mean, I'm glad they fucking got him. But all these stories too. Of like this one drag queen who ends up being a large male with, they said, like, had a high heel shoe or a platform shoe with like a giant, because they all do. You're like, hey, look, let me just. Observation for those that may not have ever seen this. You don't see a lot of drag queens walking around wearing flat shoes. I'm just saying, like, they're normally,
No, they play Jeopardy.
I mean, you get an average male is 3 inches and 30 to 40 pounds heavier than the average female across the spectrum. So you take an average male who's 3 inches taller than the average female, and then that average male, and there's a spectrum of the average male, and like you get significantly above 6 feet, and then you add a 6-inch platform heel. Like, I mean, I remember the first time I ran across drag queens in the middle of the night, and I'm 6'1", and I'm wearing boots, and I'm looking up, and I'm like, holy fuck. Like, these people are like 6'6", 6'7", because they got they're men and they got giant ass shoes. And all I'm thinking of is looking at this guy's face at the shot up the gay bar, and like the and like some giant, stiletto melee weapon beaten. I mean, they beat the piss out of this boy. And it's like, yep, that's what you call an educational beatdown. And I'm not,
that's killed 5 people also in front of them.
Yeah, but I mean, it's but it's like, it's like, okay, but again, okay, this is a good learning lesson for people, because people, they haven't had a lot of experience with fights. They haven't had a lot of experience with, street thugs and violence. Okay, it's like, if this was flipped. If he was let's say he was I don't know. I'm trying to create a scenario that would make sense to make it to inverse the thing, like to Joy Reid, make her white and just change the race that she complains about, and obviously she's just a racist. Take this guy, make him like a 5'1", blue-haired, latte-drinking little whatever person that showed up at an NRA convention and shot a bunch of people. And then you take that mugshot where he's beat within an inch of his life. How many people would be complaining about the overt violence and how wrong it was that, that the NRA guys beat the fuck out of him? And it's like, well, this is how it works in the real world. And it's like when the fighting starts, fights are like trains or like freight liners or cruise ships. When the captain of the freight liner or the train says brakes, it takes 2 miles to stop that train. It can take 5 miles to stop a freight line, a freighter or whatever it is. And when you got 5 or 8 people beating on somebody, it's not like immediately a referee blows the whistle and all the punches stop. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a while to establish dominance and realize, okay, I mean, it goes on. And I just, I see things and I wonder how it would go if it was on the other side. And that's always my litmus test. And if this guy was an avowed communist, anti-gun person, let's say a little blue-haired Twinkie anti-gun person, and he decided because he believed that the NRA was evil, or he wanted attention, or whatever, and he shot up an NRA thing and got the piss beat out of him, I know Joy Reid and a lot of people on the left would be complaining about that mugshot.
They would be.
Uh-huh.
Well, they would be. Well, what about the manager in Chesapeake at the Walmart that snapped and shot everybody?
Dude, have you seen his photograph?
No, I have not.
He looks like
traveling.
I mean, you know how like you see a picture of a guy and you're like, that fucker's pH is off. You're like, that guy's fucking crazy. Like, the hair goes up on the back of your head, on the back of your neck. You're like, oh yeah. He's like, you ever see a guy and you're like, oh yeah. I'll never forget this CPD officer. We were talking about a guy who we had a run in with, and he was crazy. And I was like, oh yeah, this guy. She's like, oh yeah, we know him. She goes, that's a SWAT call waiting to happen. And I was like, that's a great way to put it. And guess what happened? 3 years later, huge SWAT call standoff at this guy's house. But no, I digress. The photograph of the manager of this, he looks crazier than a fucking $3 bill.
That's why they made him boss.
Yeah. And it's just like, he's got some weird manifesto on his phone, and you can realize he's a paranoid, delusional schizophrenic. He's talking about, fighting with the demons and the whatever, and Lord, I have to do this. Like and he's of the right age too. He was mid to late 20s. Is that right? Is that what he was? He wasn't 30, was he?
I didn't get the bio.
There's normally there's normally a range when people, it can happen anytime. Kids can get cancer. It's unusual for a young child to get cancer, where, people in their 80s and 90s, you're more, statistically speaking, it's not a happy subject, but it is. Right. Paranoid schizophrenia there's a window when it tends to show up, and early it shows up in late teens, and typically it shows up well before 30. It shows up between like 22 and I think the statistic I saw was the time was like 27. Like, you see somebody, they're like around 30, or they're like between 22 and 30, and they've done some crazy fucking thing. I mean, it's a flip of the coin. 50% of them, there's paranoid, delusional schizophrenics. And you just look at this guy, and you look at his manifesto, and it's like, this is not a gun control question. This guy, there is no way this guy, you look at his mugshot, you look at what he did, you look at the manifesto, and you're like, there is no way this guy wasn't going through life and there weren't people around him going, oh yeah, he's a SWAT call waiting to happen. There is no way that wasn't true.
Yeah, that's true. And so what do they do right away? Now they want Governor Glenn Youngkin to introduce gun control measures right away. Right away, no matter what happens. No, when are these people in this country gonna understand it's a mental health issue? But they won't. They don't want to address that. It doesn't fit the narrative.
Well, we don't mentally adjudicate crazy people, and we don't have a system in place. We don't have an inpatient community control system in place for crazy people. Ever since we got rid of all the loony bin, we talked about this on the podcast ad nauseum. Like, we've got rid of all that stuff. Well,
they need to bring it back.
Well, anyone that works in the jail system will tell you what percentage of people that are in jail, crazy people, walk amongst us until they catch a case, they catch a felony, and then they end up in the prison system. That's what we do with crazy people. They end up in a prison system, and it's like, because this is America and you can be free. And it's like this big lie of the red flag law. It's like, okay, yeah, we don't need red flag laws. We don't. There is a legal process. There is a legal process to red flag people. It has always existed in this country. It's called mental adjudication. And it's easier to do when you're a minor. And what it used to be is you'd be in school and you'd be this troubled kid. And you were like, I don't mean like boy trouble, like, doing stupid boy shit, rambunctious boys or, whatever boys, like, like crazy shit. And what we would do is, well, little Johnny doesn't get to go to this school anymore. Little Johnny has to go to the other school, and little Johnny has to go meet with people. And since he was a minor, it'd be easier to put him into a mental health system, and then you can have adjudication hearings, whether until he's 21 or 18, and then you could decide. And then we had a system in place. If somebody was obviously crazy, people were like, "Oh, you're crazy." And people with the white jackets would show up, and you might end up at the jail, but eventually you would end up in, like here in Cincinnati, it's the 7th floor of the hospital, of UC Hospital. It's their emergency, it's their mental health ward. You're not up there long term. It's where they put you, if you're crazy, and they take you to the 7th floor, and then we're going to have a trial, and we're going to mentally adjudicate whether you are competent to stand trial. And here's the thing: if you're not competent and you're crazy, well, you don't get to just go free. You're like, oh, you found not guilty, just kick them out. Mm-hmm. Oh no, you're in the rubber room up on Central Avenue in the whatever place it isn't there anymore. Right. And that's the problem. But the thing, this guy at this Walmart's probably high functioning. I mean, he looked crazy as fuck. His writings, he was obviously crazy as fuck. You telling me this guy who wrote all this crazy manifesto stuff isn't out there somewhere on the internet writing shit? And people are like, this dude's fucking crazy. I mean, look, back when we had tactical t-shirts, we would have a lot of crazy people show up on our social media. And we had to delete ban, like people coming in talking about the Bilderbergers and the Trilateral Commission and all these weird conspiracy theories and all this. I mean, like, but it wasn't like, hey, if you considered this, it'd be like, secret messages from from playing the music backward kind of people. And it's just like, oh, fuck, delete ban, delete ban, delete ban, delete ban. You know? And it's just like, they're out there, and like, we don't do anything with these people. And that's the problem we have. Because, the guy up there in Wisconsin that ran over all those people at was that Thanksgiving or Christmas last year? They just had his trial.
Yeah. And did you see him? He went loony bin on his trial. He represented himself.
Sure he did, because he's fucking crazy. And it's like, all right, here you go. And,
Well, you also remember back in the late 30s over in Nazi Germany, what Hitler did with the criminally insane like that. He turned them into lab rats. Mengele got them.
Yeah,
And it's a fact.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I mean, they considered you mental. They considered you a defective person. They were like, we can get some use out of you. And
we have some testing we'd like you to undergo.
I mean, hey, look, it's not all right. Look, I'm not going to talk about conspiracy theories here, but this is you deep dive into this, and like Donald Trump would say, like, well, we're so innocent, or we're so clean, or we're so good. Here's what's interesting, and I haven't talked about this in a long time, but if you look at history, the United States, and I'm not all this racist bullshit, but just think about this objectively for a minute. I'm about to tell you, if you've never heard me say this before. So we dropped 2 nuclear weapons during World War II. Those are the only actual battlefield use of nuclear weapons in the history of the world to date. Asterisks could change any minute. But in the, by the late 40s and by the 60s, there was all of this data that was collected. Like, they would be like, oh yeah, X amount of rads, you would die within 15 minutes, or within 2 hours, or within whatever, or within 2 weeks, or within a month. Your cancer rate would be this. Whatever rate would be this. So many miles ran, and they had all this data, and it's like, well, they didn't get that data from Hiroshima and Nagasaki because we weren't on the ground when that shit went off. I mean, we came in a few, like, I think it might have been 2 weeks at most. I mean, the earliest. I can't remember what the time frame was. How do we know all this? Because, and they talk about the bodies and shit, like in Area 51 or the aliens and all that. There was a rumor that went around that part of the reason when they went to Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton was going to go ahead and Bill Clinton was going to declassify, find out about the alien bodies and and all the secret shit at Area. I think it was Area 51. It's a placeholder for the entire whatever it is. And
Area 51.
Yeah, and the rumor is that people from the National Security Establishment approached President Clinton and said, "Mr. President, there's much more to this than like little green aliens." And they talked about, we did all these nuclear tests. All right. And it is not a stretch of the imagination to say, hey, we might have taken some undesirable people or people that maybe in the 50s that we thought were disposable and strapped them to a post out there near a bomb to see what happened to them. I guarantee you, I can't guarantee you. I think it is highly, highly, highly likely that happened. And it seems horrifying today, and it is horrifying. But you have to remember, in the 40s and in the 50s, we were certain that a nuclear war was going to happen with the Russians. This is life and death. This is panic. This is the Patriot Act after 9/11. There's more coming. There's more attacks. There's going to be more anthrax. There's going to be more of this. And we did I am personally certain that we did some shit during all those testings that nobody wants to admit to.
Well, I'm a child and a product of the early 60s when we would have the civil defense drills and having to go under your desk and hide and all this other stuff. And I remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I remember so we were in school, and so we would have these drills, and it would be we would do the tornado drill, and we'd all go, we would never stay in our rooms. We would do we would all move into the hallways, the interior hallways of the building. And then we would do the
stop, drop, and roll.
No, well, I remember stop, drop, and roll, but that was if you're on fire. But I do remember there was don't look at the flash. If there's stop and drop and get as low as you can. But stop, drop, and roll was if you're on fire. But there was a version of stop, drop, and something if there's a flash from a nuclear weapon. And we would do the air raid drills, and it was move into the hallways. It was always the same thing, whether it was a nuclear bomb or a tornado or whatever. Right. It was everybody going to the hallway. And, you're kind of realizing now it's okay, Danny, you remember this, but you probably don't see it anymore. I'm 51, you're 147, right? So,
46.
Okay, 46. And, you would see, if you went around, you would see on buildings that were rated as nuclear fallout shelters. And you would...
I remember the nuclear symbol fallout shelter. We had that, But see, when we were young and we used to have those drills and we would have to go under the desk, even at that young age, I always made sure that I always had two girls with short skirts sitting in front of me. Because if I'm going to be on my hands and knees for half an hour, I want a view, buddy.
Remember the comment I said about boys being boys, but they don't need to be put mentally adjudicated. That's the shit I was talking about.
That's when you found out who wore the underwear.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Couldn't you just looking at me see me as a second and third grader?
Oh my God!
What the hell, Mrs. Danny, ever seen in me? I'll never.
I knew. This person has subsequently passed away, so I'm not really slandering. But this My best friend in grade school, he had matured way faster than like a lot of other people. And so like he was getting a beard, like it was crazy. And like testosterone was like blasting through his body. And his behavior, I remember like in 4th and 5th grade, like he would do shit, like he would slap girls on the ass and like just like, and do things like get in trouble. And like I knew, like I recognized it as trouble. Like he, his name was Mike. He would get in trouble, and it's like he's on suspension or he's got timeout or whatever, and he would always battle with like female teachers. He had a problem with female authority figures, like just all these, and he was a troublesome kid. But we as his peer group, we just were like, he's that guy. We didn't recognize until later in life that he ended up, oh my God, he got charged with rape when he was in his 20s. Like we all had to drop him like a fucking bad habit because he had done something.
Wow.
Like, we would go, this is before the rape charge he had caught. We would go out. This is when we were older in high school, and we all dropped him once kind of like college hit. But people moved away and everything too. But like we would go places, group of guys, a bunch of dorky high school guys. There's a party, let's go to a party. We can't go by ourselves because we're fucking insecure guys. We all have to go. Like, who's got the best car? There's going to be girls there. Like 5 or 6 of us would pile into some, like, guys got the Mustang and whatever. And like, but he would go. He'd be in the group, and he would pick fights, and we would end up in these big ass fights, like these. I mean, it looks like goddamn Roadhouse. And like he would start them. He'd be starting fights, basically daring people to sucker punch him, which is, you've seen that comment, it doesn't make sense, but you just had to see what he would do. And then we can't let him get his ass kicked, and we have to rescue him. And we're in these giant fights, and we just got sick and tired of it, and we had to drop the guy. And it's like, you realize later on that, he's
he's too bad to be around.
Yeah, I mean, like, he ended up catching a rape charge and stuff. It's like you realize, you look back when you're in the 4th grade, and then you see him, and he's in his mid-20s, and he's got a rape charge, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? It's just you realize, like, you look at the teachers back in the 4th grade, they probably saw it coming.
Yeah, but don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that he's probably somebody that if they had reform schools when we were kids, he probably would have ended up in reform school.
Really? Would have got a doctorate, huh?
Yeah, I mean, he's just like, he was just. I haven't taught this story in years because he's dead now. He died a couple years ago. I looked him up and I was like, holy shit, he's dead. He had gone to a party, the public school. This is, we were in high school. He had gone to a public school party. He got invited because we all went to private schools. And it was in the winter. And being Mike, he got into some kind of fight. And I don't know how he got to the party. Like, someone drove him. And they were drinking, so he was drunk. And it's like the coldest night of the year. And he walked for many, many miles. And I am in my house, in my bedroom, and I mean, I'm a teenager, okay? And I hear something at my window, like up on the 2nd floor, like this scratching noise. Then I look, and I see like there's somebody trying to come in this window. And so I grab a pistol, and I lift up, we had the shade. I lift up the shade, and literally what I see is I see a human with a knife trying to jimmy the lock on my bedroom window. And there was a moment when I'm literally about to shoot this motherfucker, and I realize it's Mike. And he's looking at me, and he literally does the same thing that girl that jumped in that bridge said to you. He looked, he goes, help me. He about half frozen to death. Fucking got a knife trying to break into my window to get warm in my house. It's like, because he's this just douchebag drama motherfucker. And it's like, why didn't you just come to the goddamn front door and knock, you fucking asshole? You know, I mean, I was very young, and I was a minor, and I was that moment of I could have literally shot him, and it would have been 100% legal. It's a miracle I didn't shoot him. And he was as close.
He almost got warmed up with some hot lead.
Yeah, I was 2 feet from that window, and I was like, what in the fuck? And, you know, just like these people, there are people like the guy who is the manager of the Walmart, the Colorado gay bar shooter guy, and all his bullshit drama. The guy Mike that I used to know, and we all like this guy had it got to the point where everybody was just like fucking couldn't, just had to drop him, like, and it was nothing ever became like a shock. Nothing ever became a shock. Like, oh yeah, did you hear? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm not fucking surprised. Fucking asshole. He just was an asshole. You know?
Yeah, we've been on, psychotic, psychopaths, attempted suicides and all the other stuff. Let's talk politics.
Fuck. Here's the funny part. I told Danny before we was like, hey man, we got to have kind of like, we can't do a ton of politics because I don't want it to be like a real downer podcast. And the whole freaking podcast.
So what do?
Yeah.
We talk about every mental health issue known to man.
God,
there's nothing downer. All right. But anyway, did you see where Arizona Secretary of State will not certify the election?
I'll be honest with you. I have paid zero attention to any of that. Well, isn't the Secretary of State the one who is running against the other woman? Is that true? Or is that somebody else?
And I think that's somebody else. It's a Republican, but he found several discrepancies in Maricopa County, and nobody could take office until, by law, he certifies it. So they actually have found so many discrepancies, they're talking about a redo.
Now, okay. Remember what I'm going to make a reference to here. I mean, people on the podcast may not quite get what I'm about to say, but you're going to get this when I say this to you because we talked about it. Do you remember when I told you about how things in Washington would get out? Like, oh, they are talking because like somebody would be at a party. They would make a comment about some crazy person, like some politician who's going to run for office or do something or do this. And then that person would tell me, like, 2 people were talking. Then Mike Allen, who ran this little insider newsletter in Washington, he would do a story on it because he heard this from just 2 people at one party. And then what it was, then like if he put it in the morning, whatever it was called, the little douchebag newsletter, and then all the media and talking heads, they'd be like, hey, it's out there that, like, what was the one? Like, there was actually a rumor. Who's the guy on MSNBC who, in the morning with Mika Brzezinski?
Good morning, Joe.
Yeah, Morning Joe. There was a rumor he was going to run for president. And it's like, hey, it's out there. Then this guy picked it up. Mike Allen's little paper picked it up. And then what happens is 2 people are talking about it in the corner. They're nobody. They're not talking to anybody. Mike Allen reports on it in a blurb. Now everybody gets to talk about it because it's, quote, out there. And they're not saying they've heard it. They're just saying it's in Mike Allen's thing. And so now it's becoming whatever this guy's name, he's going to run for president. He's going to run for the Republican ticket or whatever. And it's just like, whatever. I mean, this guy, and like I haven't followed Arizona, but it's like you're gonna have to show me where like this is like they're gonna really rerun this election. Like it's gonna have to be. I don't know. We'll see.
Here's where the nice caveat comes in. Maricopa County officials also admitted on their side of the aisle, yes, we had a lot of problems.
Are they Democrat or Republican?
I believe they're Democrat. So it looks like there might be standing for a court case.
Well, the argument would be made in a court case is, yeah, if there were problems, but is it enough statistically to affect the outcome of the election? And
Yeah, but remember, under state rights, it's the state secretary of state that has to certify the election.
then
So
but then they take it in the state Supreme Court, and then a state Supreme Court goes, yeah, there's problems here, but it's 500 votes, and it's not enough to make a difference. We certify the election, or we kick it back. You can't have it.
Yeah.
You can't have a thing. It's like, yeah, I mean, like, people just don't get to put a crown on their head and be king. Like, you know. I mean, like, to think about all the shit that everybody thought Donald Trump was going to do when he was president. It never happened.
True. Very true.
Donald Trump was going to think about this. Donald Trump was going to expose all the corruption. Now, you can make an argument like, the shit that they did to him, like that Russian thing, that's terrible. But like, all the shit about Hillary Clinton didn't come out in the Clintons. All the shit about how money is handled in Washington, not like there weren't Epstein. I mean, Epstein didn't get, Donald Trump didn't be like, come out with the list. Here are the Epstein clients. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all this is just, it's, quote, out there, like Mike Allen's little fucking newsletter. And it's like, we'll see. I don't know. Like, you're going to have to follow up on that one.
And the new Republican majority in the House, they're the Democrats and the mainstream media are losing their minds because they're saying, yeah, when they campaigned in the election, they were talking about the economy and inflation and all the other stuff. Now they've done an about face and they want to do Hunter Biden investigation. Well, that was anybody that couldn't see that from the beginning, is a complete lunatic.
Yeah, I mean, the Hunter Biden, look, the Hunter Biden investigation obviously is going to happen. And it's like, I'm so not look, they should do it, and I'm glad they're doing it, but I'm not going to pay attention to it. I'm just like, whatever.
That's what you got me for.
I mean, yeah, that's what I've got you for, first of all. But also, like, okay, like, all right, let's just be real here for a minute. Like, okay, like, they're gonna spend a year and a half, all these Republicans on television, preening, peacocking, like whatever they find on the laptop, and I can't believe, and blah blah blah, and so they can get their sound bites, so they can make their television commercial for their reelection campaigns, and then Fox News is going to cover it because it's scheduled, and because it's scheduled, it's easier to cover it. They'll cover it during the day, and they'll bump daytime programming, and they can get ratings and all that kind of shit. And this is going to go on for a year and a half, and I need all of this investigation to come out to tell me that Hunter Biden is a crackhead and a piece of shit. Like, I knew that. Like, I'm glad they're doing what they're doing, but it's not going to really actually tell me anything. Hunter Biden gets money from all these foreign governments and foreign business people because he's got connections, just like Nancy Pelosi's family. The Trumps. People made the argument about Trump getting business deals. That's what they made. They made hay about Trump trying to open up a Trump hotel in Moscow and all this shit.
Well, what I'm going to personally enjoy, though, is seeing the Republicans basically take what's his name, Salwell, and Schiff and reassign them. I hope to different committees off their so-called January 6th committee. I hope AOC, Salwell, and Schiff end up on like the Farm Agriculture Committee or something. Just something that'll drive them totally insane.
I'm sure the farmers don't want that to happen. But, what you're referring to is the idea that the speaker can now reject people being on committees because the Democrats did that. Again, the Democrats would not allow Jim Jordan to be on the January 6th committee. Isn't that right?
Right, and that's correct. And the only ones that Pelosi accepted was Liz Cheney, by Liz, and Kinzinger. Well, they're basically Democrats anyway, the way they're acting. Mm-hmm. But, so now, with every Congress, the committees that are established are going to be reestablished. The speaker is who assigns the people to those committees. Like I said, I hope that all those Democrats, the conspiracy type people, that they get assigned to some committee that would just drive them crazy for 2 years, like they did to the Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game. It's a game. You know what this is? This is. I mean, I'm not down on the Republicans because the Democrats do it too. All this is the Republicans crawling up on the bridge, throwing the rose over the edge, genuflecting to the sky, and swan diving down into the fucking muck. That's the open sewer in Chicago, and it's like whatever. Like, I know, like, hey, I don't think it's great, and it's where this is gonna end up, and I'm glad they're doing it. I'm glad you all went in and rescued that girl, but it's like, whatever. This is just a bunch of drama bullshit. Like, it
is.
Look, my opinion is, and no one ever really cares what my opinion is, but my opinion is that Joe Biden, when he was vice president, especially towards the tail end of the Obama presidency, Joe Biden was broke as a joke. And he had decided, and his family decided, they were going to cash out. And they started doing all kinds of stuff. And then the crackhead son really was doing all kinds of stuff because he's a crackhead, because this was their chance to make the money. This was their chance to finally, because all these senators and what happens is all these Congress people, the second they retire, they become lobbyists and they make tons of money. They start they're not a registered lobbyist. We're a strategic communications office. Yeah. So yeah, that's the one. And so they're making, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6 million a year, and they're getting paid. And Biden's like, I need to get fucking paid. And so they went out and started doing all this shit to get paid. And then no one expected Joe Biden to be president 5 years later. And that's what burned them. That's where they're dirty, and that's what's happening here.
Yep, it will come out. It will. Here's my bet. I'm betting. They said on the news today, early spring, or early to late spring, Biden's going to make his announcement on what he's going to do for 2024. That's what they said today. He's not going to run. There's no way. I don't think they'll put him up.
Biden, the motivation for Biden to run, you have to be realistic here. Number one, Biden and the people that are around Biden are like, people that are around Biden enable Biden. And as long as Biden's president, they have power. And Biden could very well have the same motivation to run for re-election as Donald Trump does to declare his candidacy. The argument is, I have immunity. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't look into this. You can't look into that, because the Constitution says you cannot fuck with me, because the government would just become unmanageable if you constantly fucked with the sitting president and you claim executive privilege. And the longer he's in the White House and he can claim that and have it apply, then when he's out of office, the longer he can survive. And if he can get reelected and last 4 or 5, he can last 3 congressional cycles. It could be where the Democrats are in charge and he gets air cover and gets to march off into the sunset. And his motivation to run may be self-preservation. And nobody's talking about that either, including Fox News. So yeah.
Well, that's why I think that's why Trump might have run.
Well, that is why Trump. That's why Trump wanted to run. But Biden do the same thing. Everyone says Trump's running to protect his 6, but no one's talking about Biden. Same goddamn thing. Same goddamn thing.
Right. Exactly.
That's why I hate the fucking news. Dude, I turned on Fox News the other day and I saw something, like, I just was blessed. Like, you turn it on and then, like, you hear some bullshit. You're like, oh, turn that bullshit off. Dude, if you watch Fox News,
I watch them all.
I know. I guarantee somebody's heard that. Literally, this is what the announcer said. I turned it on and it said something about the JFK assassination papers. And the announcer says, why won't this administration release all the documents? And I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Click. And it's like, I'm out, because it's now like Joe Biden's hiding the JFK's information. And it's like, oh, that's funny, Fox News. You didn't give two flying fucktards about this when fucking Trump was president. And this is just an example of somebody off the screen making the stretching shape with their hands stretch. We got to fill the news cycle. We've got to give people something to watch because there's nothing to report. And I hate that kind of fucking news. And Fox News has become so bad for this kind of stuff. You know,
Did you also see where Mike Pompeo, the old Secretary of State, turned on Trump?
no, Mike Pompeo is trying to run for president. Everybody's turning on Trump right now because they feel like they can, but we'll see.
Mike Pompeo's exact words were, "We were promised all this winning. We're going to get sick of winning. Well, I'm tired of losing."
Well, that's because Mike Pompeo is trying to get the old guard Republicans on board to get him to maybe get him to be a viable candidate for 2024. Because Mike Pompeo's ultimate problem is, I think he's originally from Kansas, a congressman from Kansas. If you have to correct me on that.
I don't know where he's from.
I think he's from Kansas. I could be wrong, but he doesn't really have a built-in constituency to carry him across the finish line in the Republican primary. So he's trying to navigate the donor waters and the support waters. Fox News literally had, and we talked about this, had Mike Pence on, or talking about Mike Pence, like Mike Pence could run in 2024, and like Mike.
Oh yeah, he's making the circuit too.
Yeah, and it's like, in what universe is Mike Pence is actually a viable candidate? Because this is just like the bullshit with Mike Allen. Here's two people talking. He puts it in his newsletter, and then all the media reports it. It's quote, it's out there, and now they can get him on TV. And it's like, in no universe, Pompeo has a much better shot of being a Republican nominee or a viable candidate as a vice president or anything than Pence does. But they fill the fucking airwaves with Pence and Pence's former chief of staff and blah, 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 and these Pence people. And it's like, yeah, it's just all waste. The whole thing's a giant waste of time. It's literally the JFK, this president. I just go click and I'm like, I'm out. I just fucking is wasting my time. This isn't real. You know?
Oh, I know. It's all pomp and circumstance. That's exactly what it is. But, well.
Hey, I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna do one more political thing, and we're gonna get out of this one.
All right.
Because I know we're going long. Did you hear what they did in San Francisco? The San Francisco City Council did with their, I don't know what their elections director of elections. Like it's a government job, and the person who runs their board of elections, probably it's what we call it here in Cincinnati, board of elections. Did you hear what the San Francisco city government did?
No.
This is so crazy that this should be a national story. So this guy, he's worked there. Apparently worked in city government for 20 years. He's a white guy. He's a professional bureaucrat. Okay. And you know, he in San Francisco, so he's not like some crazy conservative. It's San Francisco. And so what they did is they literally said this. And it's like, either they were not going to renew this guy's contract or they were terminating his contract. It wasn't clear to me if it was a renewal or not. But they literally said, the reason we're doing this isn't because of performance, isn't because of anything that, you know, work related or whatever. It's all about, we just feel like that we need somebody more diverse in that job. And it's like, what in the fuck? And then they literally, the local news, they go around, like they show up to a city council member and, you know, did you do this? Maybe it's the county government. Like is it true this person's not being renewed? It's like, yeah, we decided not to renew this guy because, you know, it's he doesn't do anything wrong. It's just more of a diversity thing. We feel like if the upper level jobs never become available, then how are we supposed to have a diverse and give opportunities for a diverse, you know, government employee thing? And it's like, all these people, they're sticking microphones in all their faces and they're all saying the same thing. We're firing this guy because of his race. And I'm literally like, I wish I was a lawyer in that county, because this guy is going to get such a huge fucking payoff. Even that's one of these reasons, like, why was this person terminated? Well, this person, we decided not to renew their contract because, we're kind of going in a different direction or whatever. Sometimes people get terminated because they're going to go flourish elsewhere. Like, he decided to take opportunities to go, go spend time with his family or do whatever. But these people are so dumb and they're so confident in their stupidity that they can get on a microphone and they can say, yeah, we got rid of this guy because he's white. And that's the only reason, because everything else he's great, but he's white. And it's just like, okay, that may work in your little local county, and even the local little people may support it. But once you start the process of a court case and litigation, and it goes beyond, and it starts to leave that county and go out into the real world where we have a constitution in America, like this. They're gonna write this guy a check. They could end up writing this guy a check for a couple $1 million for what they've done to him.
Especially since they went on record and saying it. It's like,
it's not even on record. On record is, let's have a prepared statement. Let's coordinate it with counsel, with the city solicitors, the county solicitor's office, and let's have something. And it's all going to be, the statement's going to be in writing, and they're going to tighten it up and dot the I's and cross the T's, and we're going to have a message. But literally, these people show up with a camera from local news, whatever, and go, are you firing this guy? Why are you doing that? And they're like, well, just because he's white. Go to the next person. Is it true that you're firing this guy because he's white? And they're like, well, we got to open up opportunities for people of color and more diversity. And it's like, holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck. And it's like, it's one of those situations where, again, I'm going to use an historical example to prove a point. This is a horrible example, but this is the truth. There was a time when there were a bunch of people, there was a black person being lynched from a tree in like 1880, and you were to magically have a camera and you were to stick this camera in people's face, like, why is this black guy hanging from a tree? Well, he did this or he did that or whatever. We're not going to tolerate whatever. And they would just say all this is self-incriminating bullshit that, would never hold up to constitutional scrutiny, never hold up to moral scrutiny. And it's like, or even public opinion. And it's like, it's the same. It's this crazy mentality, this mob mentality. Like, just because we all agree, it's okay. No, you're all crazy, and history's going to judge you as lunatics. And nobody can see this. And it's so obvious to me. It's like, holy shit balls. Like, you guys are out of your freaking mind. Hey, let's switch to
Is it as crazy as the police blotter you were telling me?
Oh my God, my police blotter. You know what? Let me tell you this one real quick, because the World Cup's going on in Qatar, and there's dude, there is you gotta hit,
no Cerveza For You.
Good one. No Cerveza For You. I like that.
That's the title.
That might be the title. That's good. I got to give it to you. There we are. We're we're over an hour in. So I'm going to say something that's going to come off as terrible, but hey, Americans, we like our guns. The British, they like their tea. Apparently Mexicans love to smuggle shit. And I hate to say that, but if this was reported correctly, there's video, and it's supposedly a Mexican national. These people from Mexico, I believe, are coming into Qatar for the World Cup, and they're at the customs. And there you see the customs officer in a uniform, and literally the customs officer is holding a pair of binoculars, and he's trying to look through them. And, they can't speak each other's language. And then the customs officer starts twisting the eye cups, to adjust the focus. And the eye cup comes off, and the thing's full of tequila or cerveza or whatever the hell's in this thing. And the guy's like, he's like, no. He's like holding up his mouth like, drink. He's like, no. And the guy's like, I don't know, no hablo Arabic, And it's hilarious, the people trying to smuggle this stuff. Let me tell you something. Just, it's funny. It is funny. But, if we were reporting this as a different story, Brittany Griner going into Russia with hash oil or whatever bullshit she had in her bag, that bitch is breaking big rocks into small rocks right now. Literally, she's in a labor camp. Okay? And, you know,
Right.
I mean, if you want to go into Qatar, like, remember, it used to be like, you're going to end up remember the joke? It used to be, I don't want to end up in a Turkish prison. Like, that was like the worst thing, right? End up in a Turkish prison. Man, you got some balls on you to want to sneak shit like that into a Muslim country like that. And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't the World Cup and everybody looking at Qatar, man, they'd have put that motherfucker under the fucking jail. The only thing worse than probably sneaking alcohol into that country be trying to sneak in a Bible, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, gee, like, it's a funny story, but you know what? If it was not during the World Cup, you wonder where these people would end up. It's like,
Well, how
man.
about Budweiser losing millions and millions? They've got it all stockpiled over there, and then the day before the World Cup starts, they broke the contract with Budweiser and said, "Nope, you can't sell beer in our country."
Yeah, I heard about that, and that, you know, that was interesting. And then there was these British nationals. They caught them on video, and these guys were three sheets to the wind, and they're on the public road. And they're like, hey, "We fucking love Qatar. It's been fucking great." And they're shit faced, and they're like, we were just hanging out with the prince, and we were drinking at his house, and it was fucking awesome, you know. And it's like, this guy's got on TV, and, you know, Budweiser can't bring alcohol in now. The Mexicans are getting confiscated, but somehow these British guys hooked up with some Qatari prince. I think he was Qatari, may have been a foreign national, but Qatari prince, and they got to drink liquor back at his crib. And it's just like, holy, it's a shit show.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. So, on the two things, on the hunting front, I wanted to just mention two things. Number one, New Jersey has been forced to deal with animal management problems with black bear in the state, because more and more people are getting injured and killed by black bears and are causing problems. And so they're bringing back their licensed and tagged black bear hunts in New Jersey, which is controversial, but it's like, hey, look, dude, you gotta manage your populations, and how you do it is you do it through licensed and legal hunting. You know,
Wow, I didn't hear that.
yeah, they kind of kept on one on the down low. And also, there was a story out of Indiana, and this is me kind of a hunting story, because think about hunters coming onto farmers' properties or private gun range property. This guy in Indiana got 50 years in prison, sentenced to 50 years for setting farmer barns on fire. In one case, one of the barns was like 130 years old. They gave that dude 50 years. And, here's my point. Man, don't be fucking with farmer property. They were fucking,
No.
you're lucky you went to jail, because you could have fucking, they could have chopped you up and fed you to the pigs, and you just disappeared. I just can't imagine, like, fucking these people, these douchebags come in, again, it's the Disneyfication, or, the media. They're like, we can just come here and do whatever we want. We can just go to Qatar and just sneak alcohol in. We can just, this old fucking barn, fuck it, I'm going to burn it down. It's like, okay, all right. So, you ready for the police blotter and ready to get out of this?
Yeah, yes. We've been going a little bit.
Okay. So, the first one is, this is going to be an increasing levels of craziness. Middleburg Heights, Ohio. A man was arrested for hallucinating a fake car chase. And so this guy shows up at a police department, and he's like, oh my God, his car, like the front of his car is smashed in. He's like, oh my God, these people are after me. They're shooting at me and all this other kind of stuff. And blah, this, and they're looking at him. They're looking at his car. They see some damage. They don't see any bullet holes. They don't see this. They end up trying to check his story. They end up using video camera or plate cameras, plate readers, which now I don't realize are out there. And they were able to track his movements. And it turns out what he had done is he had pulled up somewhere, met with a person. They didn't say if it was a man, or I don't recall if it was a man or a woman. This person supposedly got in his car. I don't know if it was a hooker. I don't know what this was. And the driver supposedly took 2 puffs of a cigarette that turned out to be synthetic hallucinogenic marijuana called K2 Spice. And the guy felt like, oh my God, something's wrong here. I'm starting to hallucinate. The person who gave him the cigarette tries to rob him. He does the smart thing, long skinny one on the right, use the car to get away. drives over a curb or whatever and speeds away, and he's speeding through, and he hallucinates that he's being chased and shot at, and he's going through this whole city just all fucked up, and he made it to a police station for help, and none of it happened, and he's like, help me, they're after me, they're shooting me. He hallucinated. The only thing that happened was the person got in the car, he took 2 tokes of some kind of crazy pot, and he ran. And the rest of it's all fake. And it's like he got arrested for DWI and, reckless driving and some other stuff. So, that's okay. It's a warm-up. It's a warm-up pitch. Texas, the police blotter. A woman is arrested for burning down her boyfriend's house. It's like, okay, right?
Damn.
Like, okay, yeah. That sounds like, hey, that's what was that show where like the dating show where the guy would show up and catch cheaters or whatever it was? I love you, bitch. So what happened was, this is incredible. So this woman, she is not at home. I guess it's the holidays. And she's not at the boyfriend's house. And she FaceTimes or Zooms her boyfriend. And a woman answers this call. And at the house, and the woman and the girlfriend freaks the fuck out, gets all pissed off because there's some strange woman at her boyfriend's house. And so later that night, she comes over, she breaks in the house, steals some shit out of the house, and sets the house on fire. Burns the house down. Okay? Turns out that the woman who answered the Zoom call or the FaceTime call was one of this man's relatives, like his cousin or some shit. And this crazy ass woman went over there. Here's a woman who the fuck, blah, 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 burned his fucking house down. The only thing that would have made it better is if the woman, she had climbed on the roof, had thrown a rose off the roof, genuflected to the sky, and swan dove off the fucking thing. So
slid down the chimney.
Yeah, that'd have been great. So the piece de resistance, of the police blotter of the John 1911 podcast, Missouri. And you got to see, we'll have it on the website. You got to see this guy's mugshot. It's dynamite, this guy's mugshot. This guy, he's a bank robber. He's wearing an ankle monitor. So he's already on community control. He's got an ankle monitor, right? He goes into a bank, writes a demand note, hey, give me all the money. And he ends up getting $750. The piece of paper that he wrote the demand letter on was his birth certificate.
No cerveza for him.
No cerveza for him. His birth certificate, and then he $750 is all we got robbing the bank, and then. When you see this guy's mugshot, you see his face, you're like, oh, I can see that. He's fucking crazy. So, yeah, that was the piece de resistance. So, well, that wraps up episode 280 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see any more stories or pictures or links, please go to the website at john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Yeah, see you, Marky. Bye-bye.